Matter, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the Minister so much for your submission. Allow me tell the Minister that we are not proceeding well in...
No, it's not you to determine. Okay?
Okay.
You raise your matter, then I will determine whether we
Thank
are
you.
proceeding well or not.
Allow me tell the Minister that he was not proceeding right.
Honorable, please don't carry out a
Okay,
coup.
are we proceeding right when the Minister is missing out on two issues? And allow me give him information from the tourism fraternity, like he put in one of his points. Bearing in mind that investigations are still going on, like he rightly said, the tourism fraternity, Honourable Minister, as people are still battered with the post-COVID effects and the poor road networks and everything, let the Ministry of Tourism bear in mind that there is still a lot of overbookings for gorilla permits and chimpanzee permits in the UA. Please involve the Uganda tour operators in your meeting as soon as you can, so that your investigations can be complete when you call all these investors in the tourism industry. And my prayer, Right Honourable Speaker.
No, it's a procedure matter.
Okay. And finally, to work with the Foreign Affairs Ministry, that these, whatever notices are put in public, in media, to put this, protect me, Right Honourable Speaker. I was trying to tell him that the Ministry of Tourism and Foreign Affairs should work hand in hand to make sure this does not go public before investigations are concluded, because it's tarnishing our tourism image. I thank you.
Thank you. Now, Honorable colleagues, this is a matter under investigation. Investigations are not yet complete. Any debate here, a colleague stood up on point of procedure. Honorable Kazini, when you raise a finger like this on me, and that's how you ask for time to speak, you get another style. Sometimes it's not good when you keep raising a finger on someone. Okay? Yeah. So, honorable colleagues, the investigations are still going on. The moment you allow debate on such a matter and all that, you may jeopardize investigations. Honorable Minister, you can tell us when you think you'll be able to give us another update. Yeah. And I'm glad you're the one who requested to bring this update. No, honorable colleagues, let's... No.
Right Honorable Speaker and members, we requested the Attorney General, the Auditor General, and he agreed that within a month's time, he would be able to have concluded this investigation. So I think that would be the right time to give you a conclusive report in a month's time.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item, colleagues, we have two quick statements before Committee on Gender presents, which I wanted us to consider because the ministers were supposed to give us feedback. Minister for Kampala and the Minister for Internal Affairs. So, Clerk, since they are not substantive items on the order paper, they were part of my communication, so they can come at that. Let me right away call the Minister for Kampala.
Hello. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and members of this House, I took note of the concerns raised by Honourable Sarah Poendi on the floor of Parliament concerning the improper disposal of waste by schools in Kabowa, particularly St. Kizito and St. Anne Secondary Schools. As directed by the House, an investigative inspection was carried out by technical officials from both KCCA and Ministry of Education on 4th October 2023. In the above-mentioned schools, concerning the alleged discharge of wastewater and sewage in the community. These two schools are located in Rubaga South, Kawawa Parish, and St. Anne School. The findings. It was confirmed that wastewater from the kitchens and the surface runoff was channeled outside the schools via pipes and channels from the schools. Both schools had septic tanks and soakaway pits for sewage. However, excess water from rain is released outside the school, which equally causes discomfort and harm to the community. There were also leakages from wastewater pipes at St. Kizito Secondary School, evidenced by flies around the pipes. The following recommendations were made. Stop releasing any water outside the school during rainy season. We advise to harvest most of the rainwater. School cooks should stop discharging wastewater and solid waste into waste channels. The use of pipes to channel all the water in the main water channel. Work with neighbors to channel the entire surface runoff into the channels. Honorable Speaker and members, implementation notices were issued to the schools to deal with the above problems within a period of 1 week. Right, Honorable Speaker, it was also noticed that the area residents also release the waste and stormwater to the community channel, and I have directed the Executive Director to engage the Division Town Clerk to sensitize and encourage them to work together and solve the problem. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Honorable Saro Pendi, who was on the ground.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I was on ground with the Chair Education Committee and 2 other members. And Right Honorable Speaker, it is true that there was a big problem in that area from St. Kizito Primary School. And it is also true that St. Anne Primary School actually discharged. There's some water that comes from whether they are bathrooms or there are some leakages into the drainage. But also, Right Honorable Speaker, what we found is that Kampala City Council also has huge drainage channels that pass through, and some of them are in people's compounds, and then discharges. The people living in those other areas, we were told that channel comes all the way from Najanankumbi. And some of the people are using those channels now as an outlet for their waste. And these pipes were actually visible actually they were opposite St. Anne Primary School. And the St. Anne administration were also complaining about KCCA and its big channels. So there is generally a big problem, Right Honorable Speaker, of disposal of wastewater, but also waste, because we even saw some houses where people do not even have latrines. So it seems these are the people also who use Buvera and throw them over in some, yes. There is a nearby swamp. So generally, Right Honorable Speaker, Kampala City Council needs to do more in terms of moving around to ensure that people actually dispose of waste in the proper manner. Otherwise, if there is no regular inspection, the situation can get out of hand. And some people, the schools were also complaining of the huge floods which were there. They were also saying that they also have issues. So, Right Honorable Speaker, my appeal to the Kampala City Council but also the Ministry of Education, because we found them also on the ground. And they also acknowledged that there is a problem, but I want also to appeal to the teams. We found students sleeping in very squeezed dormitories. That is also another problem. Although it was not my original problem, I had to veer into...
Let's conclude here.
Yes, Right Honourable Speaker. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank you for your leadership and thank the Minister and the team for the inspection, and I hope that they can continue and ensure that those recommendations are implemented.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, this is not a matter I need to open up. The Minister has given key action taken. MP for Kampala, just you can conclude on it as MP for the area. Yes, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, of course, we've been here grappling with the entire infrastructure of the city. And I can see everyone's face is really, really not happy. And everyone, whenever I come in and walk into this parliament, people start asking me about potholes. Then I change and turn my face and also look towards the Minister of Finance. And I can see him smiling because he knows the endemic infrastructure problem that we have in the face of our nation, which is the capital city. It's actually quite embarrassing, and I know, Right Honourable Speaker, we all face the same. The guests that visit this country have told you the same, and it doesn't start only with drainage. That is one of the weak points that we have. You can see we are now called the city of potholes. It's a shame. But it's partly due to our funding, partly due to our planning and etc. So as the Honourable Member talks about the disposal of solid and non-solid waste, it's one of the problems that have not been addressed in the master plan of the capital city for waste disposal. Kampala has one landfill, Right Honourable Speaker. One landfill, catering for over 7 million dwellers in the city, and that's Chitezi, for solid waste. Now, for the non-solid waste, we have the open sewer, meaning there is no way we shall avoid the stench. We are one of the few capital cities that have an open sewer of drainage, from the primary channels to the subsidiary and the secondary channels, whether it's Rubigi channel or Nachivubo channel, etc. But to mention but a few, let me end up with this, Right Honourable Speaker, because the question will keep rolling back. We sat here and appropriated monies for infrastructure in the budget.
Just conclude.
Yes, as the House, to give the capital city an additional 33 billion from the road fund collection. And that money was never delivered. Because people said that that was work of Parliament, we don't have it here. It enjoins on all of us as we are celebrating and chest thumping about talking about hosting the non-aligned movement and the G77. What capital city are you going to bring foreign heads of states from the UAE, from Qatar? I can see letters being delivered with potholes, with such a drainage, with street children on the streets. It's all shaming to all of us. We must do something as the August House here, box ourselves into a caucus and see that we build the face of this country and make it better. I presented a proposal that was from my people, Right Honourable Speaker. I even asked them, are you willing to pay an extra fee from the fuel levy, ring-fenced for infrastructure of Kampala and Metropolitan? And people said yes. Because our people are willing to pay an extra fee. Look at the Express. Ugandans want good things. They want better roads. They are willing to pay more, but no one is willing to listen to our proposals. So let's box ourselves in the room in a bipartisan manner, and we see how we improve the infrastructure of our capital city. Otherwise, it is the worst capital city in the region, in the entire East African Federation. We have to do more. We are all embarrassed.
Thank you.
No matter what party we come from, we must do more to change the face of our capital. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, honourable colleagues, I think as a House we've worked with the executive for us to do our part. Kampala Capital City Authority, we've given it over, I think, nearly 3 trillion under the ADB loan. Recently, we passed here on of around 600 million here in this House. 680 million for Kampala Metropolitan. There is one of of ADB, which we passed in 10th Parliament. It has not been implemented. Over $200 million. That's over 3 trillion. Okay? So when we say we've not provided money, money has been provided. Now the issue is on implementation. It's on implementation. So Honourable Minister, go and do a good job on implementation. Committee for Kampala, that is Presidential Affairs, do a good job on this. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to keep saying, we give money to Kampala, we give money to Kampala. But you're not absorbing what we've given you. That's the question. Whether money is wrong or not, we ask why isn't it dispersed? Because, why isn't it dispersed? Because man of Veron at least is assured. Man of ADB is assured. Man of World Bank is assured. So let's go and do the job. Next, we go to Internal Affairs.
Statement on the temporary prohibition of livestock movement from Nakasongola to Namasale by ferry and boats.
Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, at the first sitting of the second meeting of the third session of the 11th Parliament, held on Tuesday, the Honourable Dr. Atim Agnes Abea, District Woman Representative of Molata, raised the following concern: that the banned movement of livestock by ferry from Nakasongola to Namasale is causing problems, yet livestock movement by ferry from Molata to Nakasongola is permitted. The Minister of Internal Affairs responds as follows. Nakasongola district has lately suffered a spell of rampant stock theft, and one of the identified quick and easy conduits for stolen stock out of the district was the ferry and boats at night to Namasale. The main route through Kafu to the north and through Kakoge to the south was left open because it is easier to verify stock movement along these routes. The racket of those involved comprised elements operating within Nakasongola and from across. In its wisdom, the Nakasongola District Security Committee made a decision to provisionally halt the movement of stock by ferry out of the district, pending a meeting of the membership of the district security committees of all the neighboring districts of Molata, Apache, and Kaberamaido. This meeting is due on 13th October 2023, this coming week, and will be held in Nakasongola. Before closure, Right Honourable Speaker, Nakasongola was losing between 100 to 200 animals per week. And after this measure was put in place, only 3 to 5 cattle are lost per week, which is a vindication of the action taken. During the planned meeting, a review will be undertaken of the situation and then firmed up measures agreed to stem the menace of stock theft in a more elaborate and comprehensive way in all these districts without disrupting legitimate business. Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members, this inconvenience is temporary but was necessary. It will end as soon as the agreed measures on better regulated stock movement in these areas are instituted after the joint meeting that I've talked about. I beg to submit, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members.
Thank you. Honourable Agnes Apea, who raised the matter. I know she's indisposed, kind of help her with the microphone, but she's getting better.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker and the Honourable Minister, for the response, which is not very convincing, and for me, I think it plays really not well to the livelihood and economic activity of our people. Right Honourable Speaker, the issue that the ferry crosses at night, that needs to be, I think, underscored. Ferry has a schedule, and the last one leaves Nakasongola at 5:30. And at the ferry, we have a whole marine brigade there. Now, for the district to say that they are curbing theft due to the ferry crossing, I think that is sleeping on the job. We have very many security agencies in place that has better ways of managing theft than really stopping crossing of the ferry. Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to hear from the minister a more proactive. The Nakasongola district meeting you are talking about has been requested for by our district security committees more than almost 6 months ago. Last week I attended a security meeting myself in Namasale, where the Nakasongola district security team did not respond. So I think our people would want to hear a more proactive action other than the ping pong of meetings. People have lost their properties to loans, their markets are closed, and we are losing on the local revenue. I think we need to be mindful on the livelihood of the cattle traders, not only Amolata, the whole of that sub-region. Right Honorable Speaker, traveling from the ferry, coming to Amolatar, you'll have to go through Lira or through a patch, which is
Thank you.
and 50 kilometers. I think we need to be fair to our people and allow them to exercise their rights of movement. I thank you.
Thank you. But now, this confuses me. Please, hey, are you putting the speaker at order? Because I'm the one speaking. No, order can only
Mr.
come.
Speaker, allow me. My colleagues put on a T-shirt or a sweater. That's not parliamentary dress code.
No.
That's why I'm putting him into order.
Honorable, that looks like a blouse. No, but I think it's African wear designed like a blouse. So, yeah. And I see he has confirmed it's designed like a blouse. So now, Honorable colleagues, Honorable Minister, I thought, colleagues, please, if the cattle stolen is taken away via a ferry, it would be the easiest for you to control. Why not put security on a ferry, okay? And then you prove this is your cattle. As simple as that, instead of stopping, the ferry completely. If you are telling me you crossed all roads, if there were roads and, gateways, Honorable Sechanzi, the problem, Sechanzi, you panic so much. You come here, you cause chaos within yourself, and you panic. Please, always settle. Eh? Yeah, I know when such a matter comes, the area MP is given a chance. So you don't need to panic. So now you talk.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, for sure to support my colleague, the information which has been given to the House is not convincing, because my constituents, so far, 8 families have lost their corrals at night, and they use these trucks, the lorries and whatever, yet the ferry does not move at night, for sure. So that is not, it is a total lie to the country, to the August House. That is the fact. So I request just the security to allow the movement of the animals from Nakasongola to Amarata and other areas, because it is a total lie. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Now, Honorable Kotogo.
Mr. Speaker and honorable members, I find it very disturbing for a district council to pass a resolution stopping the movement of stock. And yet, that is the mandate of the Ministry of Agriculture. It is not, and I think the Attorney General, all the ministers should explain to this Parliament whether Dokolo District, Lira District can pass a resolution that animals should not cross that district. It is not allowed. It is only the Minister of Agriculture that can issue that statement and ban movement of cattle or in other animals for health reasons. Quarantine, it is in the law. So I'm finding it very difficult for me to agree with the people of Nakasongola or even the minister, because I don't think this is the position of the people of Nakasongola district. It's the position of the few who are think they should thrive on stealing animals from the district. And they use lorries, not even the ferry. For us, we move very well with the people of Nakasongola. And cattle always move through the ferry. And we buy from Lira, from Dokolo, from Amolatar. No problem at all. But I think, Minister, you should get clear information. I agree with the area member of parliament that the information you are given is misleading. And you intend to mislead the House. So I think, Mr. Speaker, we should allow the Minister of Agriculture to come with a statement, because that is their mandate.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, let's not take this far. The minister, in his statement, says they have a meeting on 13th of October, which is next week. Okay? Honorable Minister, I request you to invite the MPs from Nakasongola and the affected districts to attend this meeting. And you put it to these people. If the ferry is not moving at night, and you said you stopped it so that it does not ferry cows stolen at night, you ask these people how, what was the basis, okay? And then you come back and you update this House after. Next item.
Item number 4, motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Gender, Labour and Social Development on remand homes in Uganda.
Honorable Chair. Ten minutes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm delivering a report on the Committee on Gender, Labour and Social Development on remand homes in Uganda. And the minutes and a copy of the report are here in a file. I beg to lay for a record. Right Honourable Speaker, I won't take long. I can only highlight for the honourable members and the House, Right Honourable Speaker, that the importance of children to the survival and development of any society cannot be overstated. Uganda's supreme law, the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, places great emphasis on the protection of children. Under Article 17(1)(c), for example, it places on all citizens the duty to protect children and vulnerable persons against any form of abuse, harassment, or ill treatment. Under Article 31(4), it places on parents the duty to care for and bring up their children, and provides under Article 31(5) that children may not be separated from their families or the persons entitled to bring them up against the will of the families of those persons, except in accordance with the law. Right Honourable Speaker, I will go to page 4, where we have findings and observations in summary, and our observation on the few and yet overcrowded remand homes. On page 5, we have provided the numbers that are being hosted in these remand homes and how they exceed that is intended for the capacity of the homes. And our recommendation as a committee is that government, through the Ministry of Gender, build more remand homes for all the regions of the country and expand the existing in the light of the increase in population of the country. Right Honourable Speaker, on page 8, we have another observation on failure to make use of the diversion which, if employed, results in fewer children ending up in remand homes, especially for petty offences. Right Honourable Speaker, we recommend as a committee that the Ministry of Gender carries out sensitization of all stakeholders on the laws relating to children to ensure adequate implementation and compliance. 2, to train all stakeholders in juvenile justice centers regarding the diversion of minor offenses by children. Also, the NERA should scale up efforts to ensure the registration of all Ugandans and make the registration process quicker, easier, and shorter. B, that the NERA registers all persons in Uganda and create a social registry accessible to all institutions charged with administration of justice. C, that NERA issues birth certificates with NIN numbers at birth so that registration is instant. 3, that the Ministry of Health strengthens village health teams to ensure registration of all newborn children, including those born outside the health facilities. The next observation is on the justice, law and order sector and the juvenile justice. We recommend as a committee that the justice, law and order sector institutions carry out continuous training of judicial officers and law enforcement officers on the concept of child-friendly justice. 2, that the Ministry of Gender and the Ministry of Local Government and Judiciary should put in place a mechanism to ensure that there is a close working relationship with probation and social welfare officers with judicial officers where cases involving children are concerned. On the observation of the inadequate budgets and supplies, Right Honourable Speaker and the Honourable Members, we have a table on page 12 spilling into 13 that shows how budgets have been flowing and the deficiencies in the last column for almost every area of the budget. We recommend, Right Honourable Speaker and members, that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development increases the budget for food and other supplies commensurate to the population of the respective institutions. That the ministry changes the procurement policy and implement a system that enables the remand homes and other institutions to procure food items locally where it is cheap and not the centralized procurements which makes it expensive. 3, that the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries should put in place a mechanism to implement all its programs in all the institutions run by the Ministry of Gender, e.g. farms for food, tractors and other agriculture inputs like seed. On the overstay of children in remand homes, Right Honourable Speaker, page 16 shows the amount of time that children are spending in remand homes against the mandatory time that they should spend there. And our recommendation is that the committee is recommending Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to allocate more resources to the Ministry of Gender to increase the funding towards the construction of more facilities in remand homes to reduce overcrowds, to give money to procure vehicles and repair vehicles at the institutions to ensure the transportation of children to the courts, and also to attain adequate supply of fuel for the vehicles to ease transport to courts and resettlement for children. The dilapidated infrastructure in our observation, Right Honourable Speaker, we recommend that Finance, Planning and Economic Development Ministry allocates funds to the Ministry of Gender for infrastructure construction and also renovation of staff quarters at all remand homes and the tooling of the security staff. Right Honourable Speaker, on education services, Right Honourable Speaker, our observation on the lack of education services for these children who are being remanded, the committee recommends that the Minister of Gender gets a budget to provide education services at all remand homes and other rehabilitation institutions for youth and children in Uganda to continue with their education even when they are on remand. The need to address the causes of juvenile delinquency was one of our observations as well, and we recommend that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and other institutions within the justice, law and order sector carry out sensitization about parental responsibility and increase measures to address gender-based violence, especially in regions with high prevalence of child delinquency. B, that the Ministry of Gender designs programs aimed at addressing gender-based violence targeting both sexes, girls and boys, and also popularize the parenting guidelines. C, that the Ministry of Education and Sports ensures that senior male teachers actively support the boys in schools with life skills and protection. On staffing and staff structure, Right Honourable Speaker, on page 22, we have provided a table about what the staffing is and the inadequacy in staffing at all the remand homes. And we recommend that the Ministry of Public Service recruits more staff to fill the staffing gaps in the remand homes, and also the Ministry of Gender carries out regular staff training for all staff in remand homes, and also develops and implement a volunteer recruitment policy to streamline the recruitment of volunteers. Resettling of children. Right Honorable Speaker, on resettlement of children, we recommend that the local governments should increase on the budgets for social services to support probation and social welfare officers to keep families in touch with their children, and also ensure that the probation and social welfare officers continuously engage with the parents, the guardians, and the caregivers on matters pertaining to the resettlement of their children. In conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker and members, access to justice is an important right for all citizens, not the least for the children. As a member of United Nations, Uganda has an obligation to adhere to United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. SDG 16 calls upon all countries to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. There is an urgent need to ensure that the requisite resources are provided by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to ensure that the programs relating to access to justice for children are implemented. Given that Uganda's population is overwhelmingly young, the failure to invest in the children could be detrimental to the country's future. The committee notes that in order to have sustainable development, it is important to ensure protection of the most vulnerable in society, especially the children. It is crucial to improve the conditions of the remand homes, ensure that their number is increased to reflect increase in population, and ensure that the requisite funding is provided. There is need to strengthen the funding for social services, especially at local governments, to ensure that probation and social welfare officers are facilitated to play their roles. The importance of the justice and law and order sector institutions is one area that requires urgent attention if some of the bottlenecks identified by the committee are to be addressed, because in the opinion of the committee, without addressing them, the law does not mean much. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, I beg to move, and I wish the teachers a happy Teachers' Day, and I wish you, Honorable Members, a blessed 61st Independence commemoration. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Colleagues, at 4 p.m. we shall have Prime Minister's time. After we shall continue with members' time, because I'm invoking the provisions of Rule 149, where we are supposed to be giving members time to raise issues to do with their constituency, you know, the people they represent. We've not been appointing that time specific on the order paper, so now I want us to be using Thursdays to do that, at least a minimum of 1 hour on top of Prime Minister's time. So we shall have just 15 minutes of debate of this issue. We close it because it's straightforward. The issues raised are straightforward. But before that, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have a guild council from the Medical Laboratory Training School, North Division, Jinja City. They are represented by Honorable Isabidye David Aga and Honorable Chebakutika Manjeri. They've come to observe proceedings of this house. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. So I'll start with medias. I don't know Hajat. I don't know Okeyo. I had Stera. I had Honorable Tinka. I had Mbare and Honorable Kabasha Alira. I come to Rubabo. Yes, let's do 2 minutes each. Oh, Wungoko. Yes, let's do 2 minutes each. Quick. Oh, again. Wow.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for your time. And I also want to thank the Chair for the report he has given on the floor. When I read through, I realized that most of the concerns have been mentioned, but I did not hear the health facilities or the medical services in the remand homes. As she said, most of these remand homes are overcrowded, yet there are no health centers or sick bays where these children can be taken in case of serious issues. So I would like to know what is happening. Just like we saw in prisons, we saw that prisons have got health centers, which is not the case in remand homes. So what happens in case of health emergencies? Are these children taken outside? Do we have health practitioners coming inside the remand homes? What exactly is happening in regards to the health and medical services provided for these children in the remand homes? I thank you.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the great opportunity. For record, my name is Avako Melissa Nai Magule, Woman MP, Yumbe District. I want to thank the chairperson and the entire Committee on Gender, Labor and Social Development for the comprehensive report. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee made observation, and as representatives of our area, we normally pay courtesy calls to these institutions. I therefore agree with the committee on the observation of overcrowded remand homes. It is so alerting that we all know that our children are very precious to us. And when they conflict with the law, the best place to protect them for rehabilitation is a remand home. Right Honorable Speaker, I therefore support fully the committee on the recommendation that the government should build more remand homes across the country. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Keyo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to thank the chairperson for the report. Right Honorable Speaker and members, the committee points out the position of the probation officers in the district. The probation officers, we find that in most districts, some lack even a mere motorcycle to facilitate their movement. Many don't have any offices, and the committee clearly recommends that something should be done. There should be increase in funding to probation officers, because these are the people who are always at the forefront. The committee also points out inadequate food and other facilities in these remand homes. I would appeal to the Ministry of Labor, Gender, Labor and Social Development to critically look at the budget of these remand homes. I remember one time in this house when the committee,
we have free sitting. We have free sitting. Sorry.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In this house, the committee clearly indicated that there should be some more money given to the ministry in charge of youth that clearly looks after these remand homes. The committee points out the issue of education in these remand homes. I think, though these people may be in conflict with the law, there is a need for them to continue acquiring education and skills that will enable them to grow into useful citizens. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
David Lagen, then Honorable Stera.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to give thanks to the committee for the report, which has been quite very useful. In reference to the report, Mr. Speaker, I want to give a comment on the issue of the remand home. As earlier on mentioned by the committee, that the remand home which has so many children that need to be decongested. And in their recommendation, they also made mention of expanding and building more remand homes in different places. Mr. Speaker, the issue of children is very critical, and the fact that children come from families, we must need to focus on building traditional institution more than building the remand homes. Because my experience with working with the children, especially who are in remand home, some of these children come back when they are not transformed. They even come back worse than before. So the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development must focus on building and strengthening the traditional structure for these children to be rehabilitated and supported effectively. This will reduce these incidences of these children getting into conflict with the law and then being taken to remand home and take a long time for their cases to be heard by the courts. So I would urge you and ask the ministry to take this as a very serious thing. And then two, my experience also tell me that most of these children taken to the remand home does not have access to education. You find some of the children who are taken to remand home take a long time, and government does not have the provision to take these children.
Honorable Stella.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also want to join my colleagues in thanking the committee for that good report. Honorable Speaker, I observed that on overcrowding, yes, government plans to have remand homes at sub-regional level to have these juveniles be put in the right place of detention without question of distance of these remand homes. Honorable Speaker, in that plan of government to have these remand homes at sub-regional level, Moroto district was one of the districts that benefited in that. It was given a remand home which started in 2020 and was supposed to be completed in 2022. But up to date, the remand home has not been completed and is stalled. I wonder when this remand home will be completed. On lack of food, Honorable Speaker, the inadequacy of food in remand homes is really an issue that has to be taken seriously. Early this year, over 300 juveniles, which included Karamojongs, were starved in Gulu remand home. These Karamojongs who were released at an acute malnutrition stage, where many of them were skinny. Some of them were not even able to walk, and some ended up to be hospitalized. Honorable Speaker, the issue of food is too key because it is a right to people to be provided food. These remand homes must be centers to shape characters in these children and youth, and not centers of mistreatments. Thank you.
Thank you. Tinkasimire and then Rubabo. Bungo Kwarbi coming back.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank the committee for the good job they have done. Right Honorable Speaker, they raised a number of issues. One of them was that they highlighted regions, they referred to regions with high delinquency cases, and I would be interested in knowing what the Minister of Gender, which supervises this sector, the measures they are putting in place to sensitize the communities where such delinquency is high, to ensure that it is reduced, it comes down. Right Honorable Speaker, they raised another critical point, particularly those in the area of rehabilitation of children. Rehabilitation, resettlement, and education of those at the remand homes is very, very critical if we are to have a chance of seeing this generation not being wasted away when they are in remand homes. The last point I want to raise, Right Honorable Speaker, is they said the remand homes are few, which is true, but as you recommend that we build more remand homes, what are the measures that are put in place to transfer children in conflict with the law from areas that do not have remand homes? For instance, like my place, Kagadi, I visited Mambugu prisons, and in my interview with those who were in prison, I found there around 4 children. 4 children. I raised this matter to the prison.
Thank you. Yeah. Ruabo. Then Ri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the chair and the committee for the pertinent issues that have been elaborated here. Mr. Speaker, Article 34, Clause 2, it states clearly that children should not be deprived of their education. Mr. Speaker, according to the report, children in remand homes are less facilitated in regard to education. The same article, clause 3, talks about health facility and treatment. Mr. Speaker, I think the Ministry of Education and the other ministry should come together now that we are coming to begin the budgeting process to see how they can extend education to children in remand homes. And it should not only be education, but should be meaningful education that is geared to bring development immediately when these children leave remand homes. So it is an issue, and therefore when children are there and they are not attended to education-wise, and they get back to the society, when they have not acquired a relevant education and they are lagging behind, then still it takes us to square one. So it is very important that the ministry takes this into consideration so that our children who are in remand homes are given relevant education that will help them, especially when they get out. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Lee?
Thank you. I am surprised by some of the recommendations of the committee. As a remedy to congestion, they are proposing we should build more remand homes. But the committee has not even stopped to ask what drives children to conflict with the law. I would have expected that we should be able to deal with the problem at source. But there seems not to be any investment by gender to transform children. I've been told children are born with plain minds, but they learn all these criminal acts among us, the society. Right now, if you move on the streets of Kampala, you see a lot of street kids. And these are people who end up being criminals. So what are we doing to transform such children? And then invest in remand homes. The Minister of Gender should be able to pick interest in how we can transform children without necessarily investing in them when they're in remand homes. Secondly, I'm told some of these children, when they're in remand homes, they cannot even get access to justice. As rightly observed by some, some are mistreated, some cannot be brought to court. Even some children's case is not heard. So it would be critical that the Ministry of Gender liaises with the court authorities and office of the DPP to ensure children who are not necessarily supposed to be in prison are taken care of in remand homes. Mr. Speaker, children are now engaging in drugs. I remember recently we passed the Anti-Narcotics and Psychotropic Substance Control Law.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, Rule 41, Sub-Rule 1, there shall be time designated as Prime Minister's time, commencing at 4 p.m. every Thursday. With that, my hands are tied, but since it's the government time, now when you're responding to the Prime Minister, you can touch on this, because at least you have that gap. Okay? Yeah. I can, Prime Minister, borrow 3 minutes for your minister to just give responses. We conclude this matter, and then we go to Prime Minister's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee for the report and the comments from the members. To state that, number one, under the Children's Act, the police is mandated to dispose of cases related to children who have committed a crime under 12. So police at their discretion can use alternative mechanism, in which case they bring the parents and find a mechanism of disposing of those under 12 and rehabilitating them. For remand, those are above 12, we have, of course, 7 remand homes and 1 rehabilitation center in Kampiringisa. and issues raised by the committee requires financing. At the ministry, we are allocated 600 million every year for the 9 remand homes to handle issues of food, issues of health, issues of transporting them to take them to court. So it's not sufficient, and we thank the committee for the recommendation. We'll continue to engage. On education and health, all those are supposed, those under rehabilitation are meant to have those. So we shall closely work with education and Ministry of Health to see how we can operationalize this. But at the moment, I want to conclude by saying we'll look at the committee recommendation, look at how to handle in the context of expansion and new remand homes. I would request that we really do not go this route, because on average we have about 1,200 children who are in a rehabilitation center. In most of the remand homes, at one point you will find less than 200. So the best mechanism is how to reintegrate the children back at home rather than expanding the remand home. And that's what we are looking at. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Colleagues, I now put the question. The report of the Committee on Gender, Labour and Social Development on remand homes in Uganda be adopted. Those in favour say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Clerk, extract the resolution and the recommendations and pass them on to the relevant MDAs for action. We shall need an action taken report in 3 months as per Rule 220 of the Rules of Procedure. So, Clerk, now I think we can go to the Prime Minister first for fees obligation under item 6, and then we go to Prime Minister's time.
Item number 6, statement by the Right Honourable Prime Minister on government business for the succeeding week.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I move under Rule 28 of our Rules of Procedure that requires me as leader of government business to make a statement in this House regarding business of the succeeding week. I therefore submit the following government business for the succeeding week of 10th to 12th October 2023. 1. The Ministry of Water and Environment will present an action taken report on the resolution of Parliament to address climate change in Uganda. Right Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Public Service will also present an action taken report on the harmonization and enhancement of remuneration of public officers. The Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, Right Honourable Speaker, will present an action taken report on the petition of the unsatisfactory and unfair service delivery by various telecommunication service providers in Uganda. Number 4, we shall get a statement by the Ministry of Defence and Veteran Affairs on Uganda People's Defence Forces forming a security company. And lastly, Right Honourable Speaker, a statement will come from the Ministry of Health to update the country on the status of COVID-19. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I beg to submit. Right Honourable Speaker, allow me to respond.
Right Honourable Prime Minister, they have to call this, the item, and then you present.
Item number 7, Prime Minister's time.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, allow me to respond to questions of members of Parliament as follows. Number 1, Honourable Ayo Jennifer Narukwago District Woman MP, Karaki District. On the poor state of the Abaranga, Idamaka, Surambaya road that is cut off, Ogoro and Anyara sub-counties despite an allocation of Uganda shillings 360 for its rehabilitation. Her prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, is that can government provide an update on the status of this road and update the House on roads earmarked for upgrade under National Development Plan 3. My response, Right Honorable Speaker, is that it is true that government provided the funds, that is 360 million, through the Ministry of Tesa Affairs to the District of Karaki to rehabilitate the road mentioned above. However, it was reported that substandard work was done and the road was damaged after rains. State House Anti-Corruption Unit investigated the matter and the district engineer and CAO were interdicted and investigations are still ongoing. However, Right Honorable Speaker, government has allocated Uganda shillings 599 million in this financial year under the Ministry of Tesa Affairs, Office of the Prime Minister, for different infrastructure development projects, including road rehabilitation in that district. In addition, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Uganda shillings 1 billion was allocated to each district for the road maintenance this financial year. So far, Ministry of Finance has already sent 250 million per district in this quarter, in the last quarter. His Excellency the President directed that the Ministry of Finance maintains the already existing budgets for road maintenance across the district, across the country. Question number 2 came from Nantongo Fortunate, Member of Parliament Chotera. On the National Special Disability Grant payment, which are pending, as well as the coverage gaps in the 17 local governments and several sub-counties in the country that have not benefited from the National Disability Special Grant. Her prayer is that can government provide an update? And number 2, what policies are in place to ensure that buildings are disability friendly? Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, the performance of the National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities is as follows. In the financial year 2019-2020, government introduced National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities as an incubator to capacitate PWDs in basic survival mechanisms and to bridge the capacity gaps towards access by people with disabilities to other wealth creation programs. This grant targets people with disabilities in groups of 5 to 15 members, and each group is supposed to identify a profitable enterprise that can be implemented within their localities. A maximum of Uganda shillings 5 million is distributed directly to the group bank accounts. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the program started with a budget of 2.1 billion in the financial year 2019-2020, which was enhanced to 5 billion in the financial year 2020-2021, then to 9.6 billion the financial year 2021-2022, and currently it is at Uganda shillings 16.6 billion. From the financial year 2019-2020, Uganda shillings 13.74 billion was dispersed to groups in local governments across the country, directly funding 22,606 enterprises. That Honorable Speaker, this year, that is 2023-2024, the program will disperse 13,279,901,564 to benefit 2,653 PWD groups, targeting 15,918 households. This grant is a key intervention for persons with disabilities, in addition to other wealth creation programs like the parish development model, where people with disabilities are entitled to 10% per parish. The program empowers PWDs with enterprise development skills to manage enterprises, instills self-esteem, and enables them to interact with the local authorities, and they get information about the government programs. The greater involvement of the people with disabilities in the mobilization, sensitization, prioritization, and planning for their needs, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of program activities has created a sense of ownership, empowerment, and confidence to take charge of their destiny. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, every local government has now benefited from this grant after the concerted mobilization efforts put in place by the President, the Ministry, and other stakeholders, who include members of Parliament, national and district councils for persons with disabilities, and persons with disabilities themselves. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the specific outcomes of the grant is to contribute to improve the livelihoods of persons with disabilities through increased provision of income support. There are laws and policies and regulations in place on accessibility. What is required now, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, is our concerted effort in ensuring enforcement, and the government is planning to increase adequate resource allocation towards the National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities for increased national coverage. The policies include the following. Honorable Speaker, we have the Buildings Control Act of 2013 under Section 28(2)J. The other one is Building Control Regulations of 2020 under Section 22(2)D. The other one is Building Control Accessibility Standards for Persons with Disabilities, Code number 52 of 2019. The Occupational Safety and Health Act number 9 of 2006. The Persons with Disability Act of 2020 under Section 10(1) and 2, A, B, C, D. The Persons with Disability Act of 2020 under Section 3, 4, and 5. The Building Operations and Works of Engineering Construction, BOWEC. Question number 3, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, came from Honorable Sazi Godfrey, Member of Parliament, Gomba East, Gomba District. He says that, like Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Mpigi Kinoni Sembabule Villa Maria route became an alternative route after the collapse of Katonga Bridge on Masaka Road. This road contains a lot of sharp corners without signs for speed limits, humps, hump warnings, and other risky features coupled with the absence of direction guides. Consequently, road accidents have become the order of the day, and many accidents have been witnessed between Mpigi and Kinoni. This was brought to the attention of the Executive Director of UNRA, and nothing much has been done about it, according to the Honorable Member. His prayers that the Ministry of Works and Transport through UNRA installs road signs for speed limits, hump warnings, and direction guides as a way of preventing these accidents from happening, since most drivers are not familiar with this road. Number 2, more traffic officers be deployed by Uganda Police as we wait for the restoration of activities of Katonga Bridge to be concluded. Right Honorable Speaker, my response is that the Mpigi Kanoni Semba Villa Maria route is a Tamaka road which was constructed by the government of Uganda during the second National Development Plan 2. The road was constructed to provide reliable all-weather access to the agriculture productive areas. The traffic expected on the road was therefore mainly passenger cars and some agricultural heavy goods vehicles carrying produce from the farms to the markets. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, you will recall that in May 2023, the main Kampala-Masaka road was cut off by flooding at Katonga Bridge crossing. The Mpigi Kanoni Sembabule Villa Maria route was chosen as the most appropriate diversion for the traffic going from Kampala to Masaka and other destinations. This increased traffic levels on the road above what had been envisioned during the design of the road. The traffic from the main road, that is Kampala-Masaka road, also includes heavy goods vehicles meant for international trunk roads. When the government of Uganda restored the existing Katonga Bridge, a decision was made that the heavy trucks will continue using the diversion through Kanoni until a permanent bridge has been constructed. The increase in the number of vehicles has resulted in more accidents on the same PG Kanoni Sembabule Villa Maria route. Through me, His Excellency the President guided the Ministry of Works and Transport, and a team from UNRA visited the road to undertake a technical assessment of what can be done to reduce the rate of accidents on the route. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the team found that indeed there was an increase of accidents due to, 1, lack of signs along the road and faded road marking, which made it unsafe for new drivers along the route. And 2, the change in the type of traffic using the road to include international heavy goods vehicles, which experience difficulty in some of the corners and the hills along the road. And lastly, the overspeeding by motorists along the road. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Government of Uganda has already come up with solutions to the challenges that are being faced along this route. That is the short term. In the short term, the following measures are being undertaken. 1, continuous sensitization and enforcement of the relevant laws and regulations by relevant government agencies. Number 2, replacing missing road furniture, such as road signs, reflectors, and the use of appropriate alternative materials to minimize vandalism and safety. Number 3, towing of abandoned vehicles off the road. That is short term. In the medium term, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, funds have been earmarked for road safety improvement works, which includes 1, reintroducing or reintroduction of mandatory vehicle inspection under Uganda Police. Number 2, road marking to ensure that the curves, lanes, junctions are visible to drivers both during the day and at night after completion of Gulu Highway. And this will be done next month. Number 3, installing humps and ramp strips to slow down the traffic along the road, especially in trading centers and the areas that have been identified as black spots. Number 4, adequately equipping the relevant enforcement agencies with tools to aid effective enforcement of the law. Then number 5, strengthening road monitoring and surveillance for timely detection and removal of the abandoned vehicles from the carriageways. As a long-term solution, government has embarked on the process of construction of a new metallic bridge at Katonga so that the traffic can go back to using the main Kampala-Masaka road, which was designed as an international trunk route. Construction works are ongoing, and passenger buses have since been cleared to use Katonga Bridge. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, in conclusion, Government of Uganda, under the able leadership of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is committed to ensuring the safety of Ugandans, and all efforts are being made to improve the road safety along the Mpigi, Kanoni Sembabule, and Villa Maria route. Question number 4 came from Honorable Kaya Christine, woman MP, Chiboga District. On the irregular boundary opening and demarcation of forest reserves in Chiboga District. Her prayers are, 1, that what are the criteria followed by National Forest Authority in demarcating central forest reserves? Number 2, what is the boundary opening exercise? Why is the boundary opening exercise encroaching on private mile and freehold land? Then her number 3 question is, can NFA avail the recent survey report such that we can compare with the affected land titles with a view of establishing a true ownership? My response, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, is that the criteria followed by National Forest Authority is demarcating Central Forest Reserve is as follows. Number 1, stakeholders meeting. The stakeholders involved are the resident district commissioners, the district police commanders, the district internal security officers, the district local council 5, the district staff surveyors, the district natural resource officers, the district environment officers, and the forest adjacent communities. Number 2, reconnaissance survey. This is a familiarization tour of the Central Forest Reserve boundary done jointly with the forest neighboring communities with a view, 1, to identify the available survey marks, control extension basing on known national points in the area to guide the boundary opening. B, to identify all available corner marks of the forest reserve to use in the geo-referencing of the boundary plan. Then C, to identify any security issue or hotspots. Number D is to identify necessary workforce by the surveyors. The other number three is setting out the coordinates. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this is where the surveyor transfers to the ground all the information on paper, map, That's the boundary plan, by locating the corner points using coordinates. Then number 4 is pillar installation. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, physical digging of the holes and planting pillars, that is the concrete mark stones of about 1 meter high on the identified coordinates to mark the forest boundary. The exercise of the Central Forest Reserve's boundary opening does not encroach on private mile or freehold land. Instead, it identifies the correct boundary and the related private land used by communities adjacent to the forest that might have encroached into the forest. I have put a table below that indicates the issues raised on the cited private mile and the findings on the ground by NFA. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I know members have this information on their iPad. Issues raised on the cited private mile is in the first column. Then findings on the ground by the district staff surveyor and NFA surveyors after the boundary opening. Let me talk about block 621, plot 3 of Isaka Miyingo, land at Kamira Mpango, Kiryankonzi, Karusungwa. Trees planted by New Forest Company licensed by NFA had encroached on private mile. The solution is the New Forest Company to harvest the trees and have the boundary issues resolved. Number 2, block 621, plot 1864 of Mugwanya Nikodem, land at Bukasa Nakayaga. Land use of the private mile land. The private mile land use encroached into the forest reserve. In the new block, New Forest Company licensed by NFA had encroached on the private mile or the private land. The New Forest Company to harvest the trees and have the boundary issues resolved. Number 3, block 661, plot 9, land at Kabada and Chankwazi used by a private forest company for more than 15 years. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the New Forest Company licensed by NFA had encroached on the private mile. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the New Forest Company will harvest the trees and the boundary will be corrected. Block 626, plot 7 of Yokana, Bali Bafirawara, and the plot 32 and 15, land at Chikwata Mbogo, Namunyunka, and Bumacha, taken during NFA private mile titles. Private mile titles encroached into the forest reserve by over 30 hectares. That is 74.1 hectares. NFA to engage with the district land board to have the ownership resolved. We have number 5, that is block 624, plot 24 of Kamya, Beckham, Nachiganda, Florence, and Kapere Samuel. Land use of freehold titles encroached into the forest reserve. NFA will engage with the district land board to have the ownership matter resolved. Number 6, block 624, plots 13 and 18 of Chiviri Moses, freehold title land at Wabito C, taken during the survey by NFA. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, freehold titles encroached into the forest reserve by over 100 hectares, that is over 247 acres. And we are saying NFA will engage with the district land board to have the ownership issue resolved. And the source of this information is National Forest Authority and the district land board. Right Honorable Speaker, the National Forest Authority has availed the recent survey report such that we compare with the affected land title with the view of establishing true ownership. This report is readily available. Right Honorable Speaker, the government through the Ministry of Water and Environment, the National Forest Authority embarked on systematic reopening of boundaries of the forest reserves, that is central forest reserves and the local forest reserves, to deter encroachment by the forest adjacent communities. At gazettement, the forest reserve boundaries were marked with underground marker stones and above ground marker stones, which over the years have been used by community in building construction, thereby demolishing the boundaries. NFA is currently using concrete mark stones, that is pillars of about 1 meter, like I told you earlier, to mark the forest reserve boundaries. In some instances, we continue to register illegal land titles in forest reserves by individuals and all forest adjacent communities who knowingly encroached on the forest reserves and do not want the boundaries to be reopened. The forest reserves are, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the forest reserves are a national good. Therefore, I request all leaders from local council 1 up to MPs to sensitize the public on how to preserve our heritage. The fifth question, that Honorable Speaker and colleagues, came from Honorable Rwemulicha Ibanda, MP Ntoroko, on the dire situation of health care services in Ntoroko district. His prayer is that government should undertake on-site assessment of the situation of health care services in Ntoroko district and report back to the House. That Honorable Speaker and colleagues, as you all know, that are moved around the country, I have also personally been able to go to Ntoroko a number of times. My office has been able to construct a health center 3 at Kanara. The Ministry of Health, together with the political and technical leadership of Ntoroko, inspected 4 facilities to assess the state of health services with a particular focus on the state of the health infrastructure. The findings as follows. Musandama Health Center 2, Karugutu Health Center 4, Rwebisengo Health Center 4, Butungamo Health Center 3, which was started in 2019-2020 under U-Gift program, were all identified to have some gaps. Honorable Speaker, I have a recommendation. In view of the above findings, which I have stated, I wish to recommend that government, we shall consider this by providing both short-term and medium-term solutions or interventions to address some of the critical health infrastructure gaps in Ntoroko. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the question number 6 came from Honorable Catherine Wamwaka, the Member of Parliament representing Omoro District. That the Ministry of Health and respective local governments should review the recruitment of local ashrikaris, that is at health facility, the health facility watchmen, and their deployments. According to her, that the watchmen of these health facilities, in most cases, have remained suspected for either conniving with or being accomplice of these criminals. Her prayer that can government review the recruitment of local asirikalis in health facilities. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I wish to inform this august House that government is equally concerned about the issues raised by Honorable Wamwaka, the Member of Parliament, regarding the safety of medicines and health supplies from health facilities. The Ministry of Health undertook a restructuring exercise together with the Ministry of Public Service for local government health facilities, and there was an increase in the number of asirikaris for health center force from 3 to 5, and for health center series from 2 to 3. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, you need to know that the responsibility of ensuring these asirikaris are recruited lies in the local government. And I believe they will ensure that their regulatory provisions of supervising these people and how to appraise them. Honorable Speaker, question number 7 came from Honorable Tara, Member of Parliament, West Budama, South, Tororo District. His question is why asbestos roofs are still being used in some public structures, in secondary schools, health facilities, and local government structures, yet they are said to be harmful to people's health. This is a very good question. His prayer is, when is government coming up with a worker plan for safe disposal of the asbestos materials? My response, Right Honorable Speaker, is that it is true that asbestos was declared harmful and one of the lead causes of cancerous infections to the respiratory systems. Government is aware of this critical challenge. Interventions for development have always been prioritized, and we have prioritized proper removal and disposal of asbestos roofing materials in line with NEMA requirements. Interventions for removal and disposal of asbestos in selected schools, health facilities, and government structures have been carried out by the Ministry of Works. The remaining facilities with roofed asbestos will be removed in a phased manner. Honorable Speaker, my office with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Works and Transport have had a number of meetings and agreed to do the following. 1, that the Ministry of Works and Transport will continue to carry out assessment of facilities with asbestos roofing materials. Then 2, the Ministry of Works and Transport will work with National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, to carry out the demolition and safe disposal of the asbestos structures. We are looking at UPDF Engineering Brigade, which will be trained to carry out the demolition and safe disposal. Number 8, Honorable Etuka Isaac Joachim, Member of Parliament, Upper Madi County. His prayer is that the Ministry of Health actualizing the construction. When is the Ministry of Health actualizing the construction of Anyiribu Health Center 3 as provided in the policy, where every sub-county should have a health center 3? Relatedly, he has written relatively, but I think it is relatedly. Relatedly, can you explain why the funds which were already allocated for the construction of the health center were removed from the final approval budget for the financial year 2022-2023? Honorable Speaker and colleagues, my response is that it is true. In the first budget call circular, both Anyiribu and the Alepei Health Center 2s had been allocated funds for construction and upgrade respectively. However, in the final call circular, funds had been cut. Hence, some facilities had to be dropped off the list with hope to be constructed in the subsequent years, that is 2023, 2024. In the financial year 2023-24, the first budget call circular through the Ministry of Health, government allocated funds for the construction of Anyiribu Health Center 3. However, before the final budget, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development directed that all the U-Gift funds should be used to complete for the completion of the ongoing facilities, and no new construction or upgrading will be carried out. His prayer is that from the other prayer from Honorable Atuka is that aware that Upper Madi County has no health center 4, as it should be the ideal situation according to the government policy. When are you promoting Ofaka Health Center 3 to Health Center 4? My response, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, is that from the year 2018 to date, the government focus has been mainly on the strengthening of reproductive health services, that is maternity, at sub-county level, through upgrade of health center 2s in the sub-counties to health center 3. Construction of maternity blocks, including equipment, under U-Gift project. Upgrading of health center 3s to 4 shall be our next program, depending on the availability of funds. His third prayer is that can I assure the people of Okoro sub-county and Ugandans as to when we shall upgrade Aquino Health Center Center 2 to 3. Honorable Speaker, my response is that I'm remaining with only one question, I know, members. The government policy is that every sub-county is to have a health center 3. And the ministry strategically has a plan to upgrade all existing health center 2s in the sub-counties to the health center 3s. And so under U-Gift, we have already upgraded 340 health center 2s in the sub-counties to health center 3s. And in Madiokoro district, Alepi Health Center 2 is being upgraded to Health Center 3 under the same program. However, the U-Gift project could not upgrade all the facilities, and over 100 sub-counties still remain without Health Center 3s. But the government or the Ministry of Health will progressively upgrade these remaining facilities and also construct Health Center 3s in the new sub-counties. Lastly, Honorable Florence Natumanya, the district woman representative Chikube. She says that most schools have introduced a practice of setting up restaurants within school premises. This has created classes among our children, with children of the rich eating in the restaurants and those of the poor eating from the dining halls. Parents are under pressure from their children for lots of money to support their special diet in the school restaurants. The prayer is, can you inform this House why schools abandoned the tradition of all students having a uniform diet provided by the school administration? My response, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, is that the government appreciates the concern raised by the honorable member. The Minister of Education and Sports follows rules set out in the basic requirements and minimum standards when regulating issues of food consumption in schools. These rules stipulates that food should be handled according to the relevant laws, safety and security guidelines to protect learners. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, the practice of opening restaurants in schools is not a common, and the ministry will endeavor to investigate this matter and ensure that it does not disrupt the running environment in our schools. We call upon all honorable members to share more details to aid our prompt handling of this matter. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I beg to submit.
Thank you. Right Honorable Prime Minister. Procedure, Honorable Naomi.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. And I would like to thank and appreciate the Right Honorable Prime Minister for ably answering all these questions that were raised by members. However, in the first question where she was answering Honorable Ayo from Karachi, she mentioned that 200 and...
No, Honorable Naomi, Rule 41 does not allow a review of the Prime Minister's answer in any way, whether under procedure, whether under what. It's only the leader of opposition who has the right of reply. So
okay,
you
I'm leaving that. I
so
oblige.
it
I'm
should
leaving
be
that.
a matter outside.
But my procedure,
Yeah.
my procedure is, Honorable Speaker, Ntungamo district has got 5 counties with 2,000 kilometers of roads. And we have districts which have got 60 kilometers of roads. But we pass that we get 1 billion each district. Are we proceeding rightly, Honorable Speaker? For Ntungamo district to get 1 billion with 5 counties which are equivalent, even, Honorable Speaker, to your district, Mitoma, and then we will also share the same. Are we proceeding right, Honorable Speaker? Thank you.
Now, a procedural matter, the Speaker must respond, must give a ruling on a procedural matter. Okay? Now, we are proceeding well because we are the ones who passed that. We are the ones who passed that money, not anyone else. Okay? But it was a huge improvement from what we had. When you look at what we had, a very good example, my district, Mitoma, we are getting 320 million. Now, if you add us 1 billion, then we get good money. But now, the concern of the honorable colleague is a very valid concern because of how we do service delivery. Giving service delivery basing on administrative units is what has led a clamor for creation of more administrative units. When you look at a district like Ntungamo, it has around 4 mitomas, to be honest. Okay? I just want to be honest. So, now, if you find that such a district has 1 billion, okay? And then I know districts of 1 constituency, they also have 1 billion. So this is something which government needs to look into. And on Right Honourable Prime Minister, I don't know whether you're looking into that.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, that issue came to Cabinet on Monday, and the President guided that 1 billion was for maintenance of roads. And then the existing budgets per district, the already existing budgets, should remain. This 1 billion was like relief by government to help all the districts across the country. But we already had existing budgets. For example, a district like Wakiso, which is big, has a budget of over 1.2 billion. The The next district, that is Chivoga, has a budget of 460 million. The district of Kakumiro has a budget of 396. The district of Mitoma may have even less.
Yeah, 320.
That, Honorable Speaker, I think the President guided wisely.
Thank you. Now, Honorable colleagues, we are in Prime Minister's time for Rule 41. That's not how they handle issues under Rule 41. It's a very strict rule. You gave details of how we handle questions. I just gave a very simple exception, but I don't want to deviate from that next time. Okay? So question is for oral answer. I start with Honorable Max Ochai. I have colleagues who brought questions, who first came in early. So if you could give me a chance, I read them out, and then we sort ourselves quickly. Honorable Max Ochai, Honorable Nachimuri Heren, Honorable Juliet Bashisha, Honorable Abeja Susan, Honorable Sylvia Kamwenge, Honorable again David, Honorable Ebwaru, Honorable Guzuri. Yeah. And Honorable Josephat, yes. But we are continuing. Honorable colleagues, listen to me. We have up to 6 p.m. Up to 6 p.m. Now, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Rule 41 provides that we do for 1 hour. But we have Rule 179(7), which requires the presiding officer to appoint a time when members can raise issues of their constituencies. Okay? So, beyond that, 1 hour, we shall continue so that we invoke Rule 179(7) for members to really bring their issues. So now, Max Ochai, spot on, no narration going so much.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, 2 months or so ago, you requested the Prime Minister to take up the matter of non-responsiveness of UNRA on the upgrade of the Tororo Nagongera Busolwe Road, 44 kilometers, for which money for feasibility study as a trigger was provided in last year's budget. And unfortunately, despite the fact that Minister of Finance issued a warrant of expenditure amounting to 16.0646 billion shillings for feasibility studies, including for this particular road. Instead, UNRA opted to do other roads and ignored this particular road of Tororo. This road has now become a death trap. It was opened during the colonial time, and the traffic has actually built up. My question now is, Right Honorable Prime Minister, what can you tell the people of Tororo about the feasibility study for which money was provided and money instead was left unspent, and yet accidents are continuing unabated? I thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I want to be sincere that if a member wants an accurate answer for a question, it's better to write. A question like this, I have to involve the ministry concerned. And on my bench, I don't have anybody from the ministry. The member is, the Ministry of Works is not here. And so I request that Honorable Speaker, that the member gets in touch with me and we get an accurate answer.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, there are questions indeed like the Prime Minister is saying, which she needs to go back and consult the technical people and all that. Those are the questions which should be written, like you've had these ones. Okay? But there are questions which are clear, and you get the answer right away. Honorable Nachimuri Heren, don't have much time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, the Right Honourable Speaker. My question is, why is there discrimination when it comes to arrest of illegal fishing or illegal fishermen? We have a number of officers in this house who own boats. Big fish, yes.
In this house?
Yes.
You can
Okay.
mention names?
Fishermen. Fishermen on the front bench.
Can you mention names, Honorable?
And Mr. Speaker, it is not wrong for anybody to own boats or any business, but if they do it legally, it is okay. But illegal fishing is illegal, and it is bad. We have a one Kawesa who manages boats in Kamungu and Kamaliba in Kalungu district. And these boats inconvenience people on the Lake Victoria, especially the fishermen that I represent. And this gentleman is a close ally to our one Honorable Bamulanga Chisempija, the Defense Minister. The boats were labeled Wacha Waseme, and they were yellow in color. When I and the leader of opposition and the other MPs were moving around, we discovered, after talking about it, that they were now changed to color blue. Now, when we went back again, they were now changed to black. And these boats, Madam Right Honorable, these boats are managed by one Kawesa who usually dons in military fatigue. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Conclude.
This gentleman scares people off. Actually, even one time, one of the boats was apprehended by the UPDF on the lake. A call came in, and the person who was on the other side of the phone call said, "You release them and actually escort them to do the illegal fishing." These men on the lake cannot apprehend this person because they say he's their boss. Please, can I get a response to that? Because my fishermen are not doing any fishing because the big fish is left to do the fishing, while the poor are the ones who are arrested. Please, I need a response. Thank you.
Right Honourable?
Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, the President has given me the 6 policy proposals or policy guidelines. One of them is the intervention in the fisheries subsector. You realize that the fisheries subsector, especially our fishermen and women, are yet to benefit directly from government. The illegal fishing gears are removed from them, and government has not given them an alternative. So the Ministry of Agriculture, where we have the minister in charge here, has come up with how can I term this? With ways on how to help the fisher. On the issue of Honorable Bamulanga Sempija, Right Honorable Speaker, you are aware that he needs to be heard. And so I will request that you allow me, through the Clerk of Parliament, give him this so that he can personally come here with a statement. Thank you so much.
Thank you. But Right Honourable Prime Minister, it would be good if these allegations are investigated. Not for a statement to come, then we again go ahead. I think a statement can be given to your office when you're investigating this matter so that we get, because you can say, I don't know that gentleman, and we stop there. Okay? Now, it is 6 p.m., so we've gone out of 5 p.m., so we've gone out of Prime Minister's time. Now, the time we've gone in, you can even ask the Minister directly, okay? But the Prime Minister is here as lead of government business to coordinate the whole exercise. Honorable Susan Abeja, I requested honorable colleagues I finish the list I read, then I pick you. I'm going to give you a chance.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My question to our dear Prime Minister is, Uganda is looking towards sciences. We have our schools in Otuke district, and one of the best schools called Okwang Senior Secondary School. But this is a school which has got no laboratory, no library, though we have books, but they are packed in classes. We lack very many things. How can we help our students who are yearning also to earn these good salaries that they are paying to scientists? Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister, Prime Minister.
Honorable Speaker and colleagues, can I request the Minister for Education to come in and
Sure.
give an accurate answer?
Sure. Now, colleagues, in this period, if you say minister here, don't need to disturb the Prime Minister. You can ask the Minister directly. When the Prime Minister wants to come in, she will come in, because for her, she comes in at any time, so that we don't waste more time. Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker and Right Honourable Prime Minister and Honourable colleagues. First of all, I would like to begin by thanking the member for asking this question and the concerned raised. As a Minister of Education and Sports, one, I'll take up the matter to follow up on how we can be able to begin to look at the plans of next financial year. As you are aware, that the current budget we have is constrained to begin to look at additional support to some of these specific schools. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Juliet Washisha.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I have a concern, Right Honourable Prime Minister, about an officer in the Ministry of Lands who took 13 land titles from my people in Ruhinda constituency. 7 years now down the road, they have been claiming for their land titles in vain. I've tried to engage all GS. I've talked to the minister. I've even engaged the area MP, Major General Kahindo Tafire. He even called, but they are not helping. I even engaged the former minister seated next to you, and he knows the person by the names of Kato Sour. He even blocked me because I've been calling him. Now even he changed the number. I request that you come in and help my people to get their land titles, which were taken when they were getting compensated for Kashenyi Mitoma Road. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for your time.
UNRA, under UNRA.
Right Honourable Speaker, Kato will be handled according to the law, the Majegere style. I'm telling you. So let me get in touch with the member and we handle Kato head on.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Honorable Guzuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the 3rd of April 2018, this House approved a bilateral agreement between the government of Uganda and South Sudan, which would allow the government of Uganda to compensate traders that lost goods in South Sudan. It has now emerged that the Ministry of Finance is moving to pay only 3 companies out of a list of 23, which a select committee had verified and were due for payment. And what is even emerging is that the government wants to pay more than what the committee looked into. I've come before this House as custodian of the people's interest to ask the Minister of Finance to explain One, what criteria did they use to fast track the 3 companies which have been selected out of the 3? 2, how did they arrive at a company which was not even on the list of companies which the select committee verified? And that company is called Runway Petroleum, and they are now demanding more than 147 million Ugandan shillings. US dollars, yeah, it's in US dollars. Actually, the total now, which has to be paid to these 3 companies, is about 190 million. And yet, what the committee verified was about $124 million. I need to know how the figures changed. Mr. Speaker, lastly, we have Ugandans who are losing property, and they are among those 23 companies which we verified. Mr. Speaker, in March, a company called Aponye sold a city mall here because they could not meet their obligations to finance institutions. As we talk now, on the 11th of September, property in Nakasero here belonging to a debtor called Ropani, who is on the list of companies due for compensation, has been advertised and it is going to be sold. We have KKT from West Nile, a company with origin in West Nile. Their properties are due for sale. I want the minister to tell us how they intend to rescue these Ugandans who picked grains from ordinary people in Toro, in Bunyoro, in West Nile, and the people have remained helpless. Please, I request the minister also to lay on table a recent sovereign guarantee executed by the government of South Sudan to the effect that 3 companies should only be paid, and yet there were 23 that were duly licensed. Mr. Speaker, we have members of the committee then who handled this matter and in this house, and I have Honorable Roland who has information about this matter. I would request that you allow them to substantiate so that the minister can comprehensively respond to this matter. Otherwise, I fear Ugandans are going to be fleeced by a group of people who are bent on exploiting this country, and we cannot allow, and this should not happen on our watch. I expect the minister to respond to these concerns. Thank you.
Procedure, Honorable Ronda.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Of course, it pains to see that when Parliament pronounced itself on the fate of the traders, given the fact that they set up a select committee to see that the 23 who were fully verified must be compensated, to see to date that we are still moving in circles and not addressing the plight of these Ugandans. Mr. Speaker, sir, when you compare Kenya and how they treat the traders, especially those who go to trade out and bring wealth to Kenya, and you look at Uganda, it's really a big shame to see that our people are left to struggle on their own, and yet they are biggest employers, they are taxpayers, and they have gone to earn revenue for the country. So would it be procedurally right, Honorable Speaker, for us to just handle this matter by way of an answer from the Ministry of Finance? Yet there are deeper contradictions that we can now see out of Honorable Lee's submission. I would think that we need to go deeper and investigate this matter to conclusion. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Now, Honorable colleagues, we had a select committee. It brought a report here which we discussed and we adopted. Now, if you can remember, a few months ago, the Speaker assigned me FORAP, the Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda, assigned me as a deputy to FORAP this matter. I reached out to the Minister for Finance. Me and the Minister of Finance traveled to Juba. The Speaker had called her counterpart in Juba, and her counterpart called the Minister of Finance for South Sudan and our ambassador. And we held a meeting. And in that meeting, we agreed the 23 companies should all be fully verified, agreed upon, so that they issue a sovereign guarantee covering all of them. This is, I think this was December. So the Minister of Finance in South Sudan said they were going, indeed he was new, but he knew about it because he was a former central bank governor. And he promised that indeed he was going to look into it. Now, what I'm sensing from what Honorable Oguzuri is talking about is the issue of justice. Because the Right Honorable Prime Minister, there are companies demanding just 500,000. Now, a company demanding 500,000, and this is not man of compensation, which is the clarification I wanted to make. This is not compensation. It is money for companies which supplied to South Sudan, and now government of Uganda is rending, according to what we agreed, is rending to government of South Sudan. That's why South Sudan must acknowledge your debt and say, I know about this debt. So if it was compensation, it would be a different matter. Now the issue is, we first had 10 companies. They were the ones who opened the way, and they were agreed upon by government of South Sudan, and they were paid. Now Parliament found another 23. At that time there was an uproar that how come you've left out these ones? And we appointed a select committee in Tennis Parliament. The select committee went to South Sudan, got all documentation. Out of the very many companies, they found 23 had documents. Now, the member is asking, why have you picked only 3 out of 23? And you pick the big ones, and you leave the small ones. So why don't we also help the small ones, and they also get paid? That's what I'm picking from him. Yes, Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, you partly answered Honourable Lee. But let me give you the latest as lead of government business. Recently, Cabinet, under the chair of the President himself, discussed this matter and came up with a resolution that the government of South Sudan, under the leadership of their president, together with the president of Uganda, we are scheduled to meet recently to have this matter discussed at that level. Because we realize that these other companies were not given sovereign guarantee. They only gave to those 3. Because this debt is not for government of Uganda. It's the debt of government of South Sudan. They are the ones who were supplied by the companies in Uganda. And so the president offered to meet Dr. Salva Kiir, the head of state for the government of South Sudan. And this is recent. I think it's a month ago. So I request for time, since this matter is above me, so that the president, in a later time, can brief us how far he has gone with his counterpart of South Sudan. And you know I have no control over the head of state. Thank you so much.
Now, Honorable Guzuri, you had the documents which you came with, and you said you wanted to read because they are as soon as 2 weeks ago.
Mr. Speaker, this matter is actually a public issue. It even came in the newspaper. The Monitor of 26 clearly lays this.
No.
And of this year. And the issue which has clearly emerged is, okay, I also have the Parliament's resolution which has a list of the companies.
No, Honorable Guzuri.
Yes.
The question is very simple. Okay? Right, Honorable Prime Minister. The issue is very simple, and I want to be honest, because I went to Juba recently, and there are details which I don't want to say here, which I will share with you. But what is simple? No, the resolution of Parliament and all those issues, put them aside. The members are saying, and you know, some people have come, you know, the issue, the small people. Because the small people, why isn't someone in South Sudan verifying people of 500,000, but verifying those ones of hundreds of millions? That's the question. They don't have someone fight for them. And I think that's why Parliament said, before you pay anyone else among the big ones, also verify these ones. At least verify you have their sovereign guarantee. Then on payment, you know how you'll handle on the schedule. But you postponed last time. Even now, we have postponed. When I went with Minister Kasaija, it was clearly put to us. Just recently. Help the small people. The small ones. So, Right Honorable Prime Minister, on this matter, let the Minister of Finance on Tuesday bring a statement to the House to update the House on the exact matter, on the agreement they have signed with the three companies. Help the three companies. And he updates us on where he has reached in verifying for the small companies. Simple. And in fact, I talked to him when he was leaving out. When he was going out, he said he's ready on Tuesday to bring that statement. So let him bring it on Tuesday instead of disturbing the Right Honorable Prime Minister. Yeah. Thank you. Honorable Sylvia, is she? Yeah. Then Honorable Iwaru.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mine is about the lower local governments in Kamwenge district that were established about some were established 2 years ago, some 3 years ago, and have never got funding. So the leaders, the political leaders are struggling. Also the technical staff to run work. They don't have wage bill. Some of them do not even have office space they are renting. And so this affects the way they are running work. And to confirm that these structures exist, they appear in the database of Electoral Commission. Some of them even elected their leaders for this term. So my question is, either to the Prime Minister or the Minister of Finance, what is the fate of these lower local governments? I thank you.
Thank you. Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, it is true we have over 300 new local governments. Those are the town councils and the new sub-counties which have not yet been given IPFs. And it is true, government through cabinet has discussed this matter. And we have all agreed that these local governments should be funded. Now that the Minister of Finance is here, I believe he has the latest.
Money for local governments.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on financing for ROA administrative units in respect of the one we call the newly created. Mr. Speaker, in financial year 2021-2022, we provided 29.2 billion to take care of startup cost for all those newly created administrative units. We went further to provide for a wage bill for the key positions. Mr. Speaker, our understanding was in the constrained resource envelope, our understanding was that these new administrative units would share the resources with the mother units where they came from. The same way, Mr. Speaker, I remember when Rubanda district was created and Ruchiga district from Kabale, we had a budget that time for Kabale district of 54 billion. And this budget was apportioned among the three districts. Initially, this is what happened. And we expect the new administrative units, on top of the startup, because they didn't have where to begin from, on top of the wage bill for the town clerk and other key staff for the new we expect them to share the existing budget as we hope for the better in the medium term. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Waru.
Right Honorable Speaker, in 2019 April, President Museveni came to Soroti and commissioned the Soroti Fruit Factory with the main aim of improving on the socio-economic well-being of people from that region and beyond. However, last week, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of State Affairs called the local governments and told them the President has directed that the factory be privatized and given to the former First Lady of Ethiopia, Azeb Mestavi Zenawi, which position as a region we protest. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reasons being advanced are that the factory is making losses. But before that, in February last year, I raised a matter on this floor of Parliament regarding the challenges facing the Soroti Fruit Factory. The Speaker, in her wisdom, at that time directed a committee of trade to investigate and report to this Parliament. Subsequently, March 2nd, 2022, the committee made 21 recommendations to this Parliament, among which included the committee recommended that Parliament gives money to the Soroti Fruit Factory to buy a way bridge. That one has never been bought up to now. Number two, the committee recommended that money is given to the fruit factory to build a warehouse for storage. That has never been bought up to now. Number three, the committee in its wisdom recommended that we need to expand the water treatment plant at the factory. That has never been done. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee also recommended a fully automated packaging line be bought for the fruit factory. That has never been done. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are 21 recommendations, and of which only 2 have been implemented. That is to interdict the CEO and to set up the board. My humble view is that before we even go ahead to give the factory to a foreign investor, why the Prime Minister should tell us why we have not implemented the recommendations of Parliament before we go ahead to privatize this company.
Thank you.
Finally,
No,
as I conclude, sir.
That's a question. You've given a
Agree.
question and we are done. You know, I gave you more time.
Yes, sir.
So you better behave.
One question.
You still had another question?
Yes.
Or an observation?
No, let me give him one answer of the fruit factory.
I would put this,
Okay.
then
Is it on food factory?
No, separate.
Please.
Okay.
It's one question.
One question.
Yeah, sorry. It's one question.
Thank you so much.
I can pick you another time for another question.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, during the campaign of 2021-2022, His Excellency the President was overwhelmed by the demands from the people. He's the one who advised and mobilized the people of Teso sub-region to choose the enterprise of fruits. And so, he's the one who initiated the setting up of the fruit factory in Soroti, with the view that it will help the farmers to increase in their household income. However, it is absurd that even up to now, that fruit factory is not helping our farmers. And so, he came up with an idea that we look for an investor who will help us to put in place what he has come up with. Because UDC has naturally failed to manage that factory. And so, we have had a number of meetings, Right Honorable Speaker, and the answer to this is for us, because the software or the machines these people bought cannot handle the number and tonnage of fruits produced by the So, Right Honorable Speaker, this question requires us to come with a comprehensive answer. Fortunately, I have the Minister of Trade here. I don't know whether she has a better answer than this. The reason is we want to help our farmers.
That's it. That's a principle. That's a principle. To me, because the factory belongs to government. Okay? The issue will be on the 20% shares which are owned by the farmers. How are you treating those shares? Otherwise, if the investor is coming to make a factory run better, buy the fruits of the people. Okay? This is a government factory. It's not a region, it's not a local government factory. It's a government factory. So the issue is on the 20% shares. Because now, government, please, honorable colleagues, government has a right to treat its shares the way it wants. It's a shareholder. Your issue should be on the 20% shares for the local community. How are you treating the 20% shares? Right, Honorable Prime Minister. Are you selling 100%? Have you engaged the community to look at their 20%?
Right Honorable Speaker, what the Honorable members reported here is a process in thought. It's ongoing. Nothing has been signed, nothing has been concluded. But like the Right Honorable Speaker said, the purpose is to find someone to invest in this institution for the purpose of doing that. Right Honorable Speaker, the shares, the 20% shares of the farmers and the purpose, the fundamental purpose of that factory to off-take fruits from the region is going to be maintained. Beg to submit.
Honorable Susan Amero.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to seek clarification from the Prime Minister and her team. This factory, when it was being started in Teso, was with the aim of helping the people of Teso. But this factory, from the time it has come in place and it started operating, it is never taking fruits from Teso. They are buying fruits from outside Teso and leaving the ones in Teso. The committee is aware about that. I happened to be privileged to sit in that committee when we were doing that investigation. But the clarification I wanted to seek is, are the people who are advising the president to establish these kind of factories doing it the right way? Do they do due diligence before they establish these factories? Because I see many of them are mushrooming. Where then are they going to end?
Thank you. Right, Honorable? Right on.
Right Honorable Speaker, and colleagues, it is only that the gross exceeded the investment. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the purpose of the food factory was to help the people of Teso. But our extension farmers or extension staff did not guide our farmers on which fruits to grow. No, I'm telling you. Members, I have... You don't want facts. For me, I don't deceive.
Honorable Saro Pendi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my question, I think, may be answered by the Minister of Finance. I got complaints from my people in Tororo, but also I received in my inbox a complaint
Colleagues, let's have order in the House. Let's have order in the House.
From some civil servants in Kavera Maido, and I believe this is cutting across on the shortfall on wages, salaries and pension. And a number of public servants, some have not been paid for the last 2 months. September has ended. This particular letter that I have is actually informing civil servants that due to the wage shortfall, some of them may not receive their salary. So, Right Honorable Speaker, it's very unfortunate that pensioners have to wait for months to be paid. These are retired people. And the statement made occasionally on the floor of this House is that salaries, wages and pensions has the first call on the consolidated fund. So my question to the Minister of Finance is, why are we having these wage, okay, to the Prime Minister, but it's direct to Finance. Why are we having these shortfalls on wages? The financial year has just started.
Thank you. Honorable Minister. In this session, you can ask directly the Minister. Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, indeed, it is true that we opened this financial year with, on the item of wage, gratuity and pension, amounting to 334 billion. Mr. Speaker, I wish to report to the House that this has been addressed, and in the Q2 release, we have released monies to take care of the arrears which arose from non-payment of July, August, and September will all be paid in this month of August. And going forward, up to the end of year, we have adequate budget to pay these obligations as and when they fall due. And indeed, Right Honorable Speaker, salaries, gratuity and pension take the first call on the budget. That's why we had to run very fast, act very fast.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, since I have this opportunity, yesterday a matter was raised on loan scheme, funding for the loan scheme. And the issue was, we have students in universities whom we are unable to pay for. Mr. Speaker, this is not true. I have established that in this financial year, we have a budget under loan scheme of 27 billion shillings, which should be able to take care of all the ongoing students. What we have not provided for are the new students. The new entrants, we have not provided for them. But those who are already on the program will have adequate fees to take them up to the end.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, I'm going back to my strict rule of 1 minute for questions. I think that way we are receiving very many questions. I've seen now we've gone into many explanations and many members will resolve. Okay? Honorable again.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. My question is directly to the Prime Minister. On the 5th of September 2023, I got a letter from the LT3 of Adilang Town Council giving detail of disasters that took place there. Around 2 big institutions, government-aided school, roof were destroyed by the hailstorm. Around 3,907 people were affected. 979 crops were destroyed completely, and I have the evidence with me here. And my question is, how can the Office of the Prime Minister help these people, support them, rescue them, for them to be able to survive?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, Agago District, the sub-county of Adilang, we are aware they were hit by the hailstorm. We had just given them recently support, and he's aware of food. We shall continue to help our people. Thank you so much.
Honorable Josephat. Then Honorable Rion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm raising on an urgent matter of national importance that touches...
Question straight.
Yes.
1 minute is going.
Yes. That touches on our students who are about to sit for the examinations. That is Senior 4 and Senior 6. Mr. Speaker, to our dismay, UNEB is denying the heads of centers to pick examination materials just because that they have not cleared with other entities like SESEMAT and UNSA. My prayer that this House restrains UNEB from acting as an enforcement agency of other entities. 2, that immediately this House orders UNEB to release materials for centers to prepare for examination.
Honourable Minister for Education, I told you 1 minute and you were saying yes, as if it was too much. I need to say.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleague, for that very important question. First of all, I want to put it on record that we're talking about Uganda National Students Association fee, which is about 1,000 shillings charged per child, about 2,000 shillings, which is charged per child. And then the other fees is the SESEMAT. We, as a ministry, try to look at how can we help these associations, when I talk about UNSA, to raise some money to facilitate them to move in the schools to support the students' movement when as far as matters of students are concerned. Unfortunately, some of the school operators are becoming elusive. They do not want, even when they collect this money, they don't want to remit the money to the school what? So Right Honourable Speaker, it was a decision which we agreed as a ministry that UNEB helps us to enforce and make the schools collect the money, because the students, by their parents, pay to these respective schools. So now the challenge is with the administrators of the schools who are refusing to pay the money, to release this money to these respective entities. So Right Honourable Speaker, I want to request that the Honourable colleague helps himself and helps the school to pay this money, and then UNEB releases the papers to them to do the work. I thank you.
Thank you. Now, Honourable Minister, Honourable Minister and Honourable colleagues, we all know this is part of fees. We are all paying it. But many schools eat the money. Okay? So, Parliament coming here and saying, release exams, okay? to schools without clearing that money, then you will be encouraging. Okay? Yes. No, please, UNEB is, that's a tool government has. Then other schools, that's an indirect way of scrapping it off. Let them pay, and we ensure it is delivered. But now what you need to do as Minister of Education, you need to write it all head teachers, okay? Informing them that you have instructed UNEB, so that they don't take it as a UNEB matter. They know it was a directive from Minister of Education.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to inform the House that we did communicate officially, and I can lay on table the circular which we sent to all head teachers across the country.
Let head teachers correct that money and remit it. Honorable Arion.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, my colleague, Ameri, has been talking about the fruit factory in Soroti. The same factory for mango has been established in West Nile in Yumbe district for mango fruit processing. Right Honorable Speaker, this factory was ready to take off by 2021. A test run was done, but up to today it has not taken off because of a group of people who claim to be part of the directors.
Right, Honorable Prime Minister, can you answer the colleague why the factory has not taken off? Honorable, we put rules here. No, we don't do in seconds here. We have rules here. Right, Honorable Prime Minister? Honorable Arion, my brother, we have rules and they apply to all. So I don't want it to look different. I request it. Right, Honorable Prime Minister? Why hasn't the factory taken off?
Right Honorable Speaker, I know the issue. Remember, you came to my office.
Honorable colleagues.
Remember, you came to my office.
Right, Honorable Prime Minister, the rules are clear. I give you your time. It's you who determines how you use it. Whether you want to give a wrong story and you eat your time, that's not my problem. So let's follow the rules. Thank you, Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, I request that I get in touch with a member and I cause a meeting in my office between me and the leaders from Yumbe, and we handle this together with the concerned MDA. That Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Muuma, Honorable Karwanga, Honorable Boniface Okot, and then Honorable Andrew Oranya. I'm coming, colleagues, I'm going to pick you.
Thank you very much.
Let's shoot straight away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the year 2001, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda, on invitation by Her Excellency the VP then, visited Budwege Primary School. He laid the foundation stone and he pledged to make this school a model primary school in Busoga sub-region. To date, there's nothing that has happened. Even the little structures that were on ground were recently blown off by the hailstorms. The district wrote the Prime Minister for some assistance or intervention. To date, there's nothing that has taken place. May I request the Minister of Education to give hope to this school and also rebuild the image of the other foundation stone that was.
Thank you. No, Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member. First of all, the policy of government is that we build a primary school per parish, a second row is secondary school per sub-county, and we go ahead. So I have got the information now. It's, as you're all aware, honorable colleagues, the budget circular, this is a budget period. Honorable Mum, I want to request you to formally write to us so that we begin to look at how do we incorporate that as a presidential pledge for purposes of the government working on that primary school.
I thank you.
Honorable Court Boniface.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, year in, year out, Ugandans lose billions of their hard-earned money to Ponzi schemes. The latest of the Ponzi schemes are Capital Chicken, BLQ Development Channel. Right Honorable Speaker, most of these schemes claim to be duly registered with government, and most of them operate for long at large without a crackdown. My question is, how is government considering to proactively identify and prevent fraudulent financial schemes, and what mechanisms are in place for restitution? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister for Finance, this is under your sector.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it is good the member said these Ponzi schemes claim to be registered. As far as we are concerned, as Minister of Finance, we have not registered any Ponzi scheme to operate in this country.
Now, honorable colleagues, I've seen Bank of Uganda giving out warnings. I have seen Capital Markets Authority giving out warnings, but Attorney General, I think we need more on this. The Minister for Finance played safe.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, these schemes are elaborate criminal enterprise. They are keen to thieves, corrupt people. That is what they are. So government has in place laws which make this illegal. But the population must help government, especially in as far as reporting these offenses is concerned. This matter has been taken up by CMA, I know, right now. The Capital Markets Authority has been looking at this matter, again, out of what the public raised. So I can't say, Right Honorable Speaker, aside from the fact that we need to really educate our people, that even when a person purports to be registered, there are ways we can actually check that these Capital Markets Authority, Capital Markets Authority is going to and URSB are going to be sending out messages on how you can check online for a company that is duly registered and that is not, because we have the system under URSB, we have the system now, but it's just to educate the population.
Thank you. Honorable Andrew Oranya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we request the Land Attorney General to share an update on the compensation of the cattle, the dead claimants in northern Uganda, especially of Moro district, I would like to appreciate the Prime Minister. She's on ground and she knows what is happening and she gets things done. When I raised two issues in December, one of them was the issue of Moroto Road. She went on ground and made sure that now we have a contractor who is doing the design of the road. So I want to thank you very much, Madam Prime Minister. I'll wait for the update from the Land Attorney General. Thank you very much.
So you didn't have a question? Yeah. Right Honorable. He asked a question. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we are on course to make the payments for cattle compensation depending on the resources that have been made available to us. In this quarter, we were given 9 billion shillings. I'm picking the numbers off cuff, but I'll present a written report. 9 billion shillings. In the last cycle, Omoro and and Kumi did not get any compensation because their processes had not been completed. And they missed out on about 1.27 billion shillings on the first payment. In this quarter, they have been allocated the 1.27 billion from the last quarter, and then the remaining 7 billion, 6.8 billion has been prorated among that are supposed to receive this money. We have sent, Right Honorable Speaker, to every district the list of the beneficiaries who have been verified to receive payments in this quarter. And as soon as those lists come back and the payments have been made, as is our practice, we shall lay on the table the report for this payment once the payment has been made.
Thank you,
very much.
Honorable Katabazi, Honorable Julius, Dr. Pio Migade. Then Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. My matter is to do with the Katonga River Bridge, which was recently where they allowed buses and bigger trucks up to 30 tons to cross. But it beats my logic that some trucks which are less tonnage are not allowed to cross. So I would like an explanation from the Minister of Works, Prime Minister maybe, and also why the work has stalled there. They told us they are going to finish the bridge. We are seeing no work done there.
Thank you.
And
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, we shall need to investigate that and find out why vehicles with low tonnage are not allowed, and yet vehicles with more tonnage are allowed. As far as the construction of the new bridge is concerned, the report I have is that they are now 30%, because we are going to make, first of all, a steel bridge where all vehicles will be diverted through the steel bridge. I can see the materials on site, and he's aware. All the materials are on site. The contractor is currently going to start fixing the steel material so that vehicles can be diverted through that steel bridge, and then a concrete one will be constructed.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, I request the member to be patient.
Thank you. Yes, Rwampara.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance regarding the procurement of road equipment for the newly created districts. When are you going to release the funds to procure the road units for the newly created districts?
Thank you. Right Honorable Minister for Finance can say is Honorable Minister for Finance.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the procurement process is on. You are aware that we all agree that the government, in order to block the middlemen, we are doing direct procurement from the manufacturer, and the procurement process is on.
No, you're being impatient. Huh? You're being impatient. Okay, just ask your question and do it.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my concern is I am a representative of people, and I have got complaints that the people I represent, their crops are being cut. Even if you are supposed to harvest your crop even tomorrow, they come with a mower, slash it down, slash all the trees, and even burn the sugar cane in Soroti because it is in the wetland. Wasn't it right for us to ask them to remove their crops from the wetlands, and then next year they don't again cultivate it again? That is my question, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Government.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I will request the member to get in touch with me so that we can know which swamp is being affected, because the fact is we want to to secure our swamps. But the president had directed that we allow our people to harvest and then we restore the swamps. But if something is happening contrary to HE's directive, then you need to come to my office and we handle.
Thank you. Dr. Pio.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance on the shortage of medicines in health facilities across the country. NMS indicates that Ministry of Finance failed to honor the recommendation of the Interministerial Committee appointed by the Prime Minister, in which it was resolved that funds, operational funds for distribution of medicines shall be released within the first week of the first month of every quarter. That was not honored in last quarter. We are now in the second quarter. Drugs have not yet been delivered. They're in the stores, but there is delayed release of the operational funds. So I want to know from the Minister of Finance, why didn't we honor that recommendation in the last quarter? Have we honored it in this quarter to release the operational funds within the first week of the first month of every quarter?
Honourable Minister for Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the best of my knowledge, for me, I knew we had completely settled the matter with NMS. However, I know there were some resource constraints in the first quarter, but Mr. Speaker, the good news I have is that releases for quarter two have fully taken care of quarter two, plus what was not released in the first quarter.
Thank you. Honourable Megade.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, our people from the fishing community have been exploited by fish processors for a very long time, buying a kilo of fish at $3 and below and selling the same kilo at $25 at the international market. We have been mobilizing our people to stop supply these fish factories, and we have discovered that a number of technocrats, the Minister of Agriculture, who have been working with these fish suppliers or fish processors. A circular letter, I have here a copy, written by Director Fisheries Resources, directing that a kilo of fish should not
Honourable, you know how we use time. Please, you don't go into, and you, as the chairman of the committee, conclude. Ask the question. But you know, I don't want to do double standards, colleagues. But chair of the committee, conclude. Conclude, ask the question straight if the documents are on. The minister knows.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, my question is to the Minister of Fisheries. As the Minister of Fisheries come up with a minimum amount of money that should be bought per kilogram, like this letter portrays, which is $6 instead of.
Honourable Minister for Fisheries.
Right Honourable Speaker, we have not come up with any fixed price. This letter written by my commissioner came to my knowledge 3 days ago. I also saw in social media. And the next day, that was on Monday, I wrote to my PS, who is supervising them.
Switch on.
To write to me explaining when we fixed the prices and why I was not copied. So I disassociate myself from this letter, and I'm waiting for an explanation from my PS.
But Honourable Minister, you see, on such you call a meeting because you're a minister. You don't just letters when people are your neighbors in office. You call a meeting for top management.
That's exactly what I am talking about. This is a policy matter.
Yeah.
Not for an individual to decide.
Yeah.
That's why I've written to the PS to explain, because this should have come from government and even it's not copied to me. So please, I disassociate
So, Honorable
myself.
Minister, you first will order the withdrawal of that letter, then you go to cabinet, and because if you wait until the PS does, then the letter will still be valid. So you better now instruct the withdrawal of that letter as a minister.
Most
in charge.
obliged.
Thank you. Moroto Municipality, and then Commissioner. Okay, let's start with Commissioner.
Right Honourable Speaker, my question goes to the Prime Minister. When will the compensation of the Majanji Busia Musta Road, Majanji Musta Road be completed? Because the road is almost done, but the project affected persons have never been compensated up to now. Some are still waiting for money.
Right,
when will
Honourable.
they be compensated?
That Honorable Speaker and colleagues, that matter was brought to my notice when I was in Mayuge recently. And the answer I got was that the Ministry of Works under UNRA, UNRA had not been given enough money. Now that they have been given money this quarter, I will make sure that those people are compensated.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, when you put me on pressure that I pick you, the signal is you want to talk and go. Yes, I know many of you. The moment I pick you, you speak. After, then you disappear. Okay? Now I'll be marking you. The moment you talk and then you disappear, it will take indirect punishment of like 2 weeks before I allow you. Yes. Moroto Municipality.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to, Right Honourable Prime Minister, a few years ago, members of Parliament from Karamoja Sub-Region contacted you regarding the trucks that ferry raw materials from Karamoja. And because of the heavy loads, the roads are being affected. We also requested for way bridges. And almost 2 years ago, we informed that government had purchased the bridges, but we want to know when these bridges will be installed, because from that time they say they are still trying to assess where to place them.
Thank you.
So government is losing a lot of revenue, and also people are taken advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honourable.
Right Honourable Speaker, I'm aware of the issue he's talking about. Our road is dilapidating at a high speed because of the heavy trucks on that road. And so we had a meeting. We are also going to deploy the mobile way bridges in the meantime. But I will now go and make sure that we enforce this as we wait for the fixed ones.
Thank you. We've not been taking most of these issues. Members have very many issues. So I would beseech the front bench to bear with me. I pick members who sort these issues quickly and we do. So, wow. Procedure, Honourable Kavanda.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, on Tuesday, you directed that the Minister of Foreign Affairs comes to Parliament and give us information about the people he accredited to go for the United Nations General Assembly meeting. I have been here from 2, and I think it is already 6. It is coming to 7. Are we proceeding well? I should expect the minister to come, or there is a problem? Thank you.
Yes. No, Honourable Daudi, we are still doing parliamentary business. That issue is part of parliamentary business. So please be patient. Yeah, the patient ones always reap benefits. Yes, I'll do Timgiu Isaac, then Museveni. And then Katariwa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My question is just straight. Under the YouGift project last year, we actually got an upgrade. We were supposed to get an upgrade to one of our health centers in Nebi district, that is OC Health Center, to be upgraded from level 2 to level 3 by the UPDF brigade. They were actually advanced the payments for that, for building the maternity ward, amounting to 189 million. But upon receiving the amount, they only stopped at the foundation and have now disappeared on site for a whole year. I wanted, if there's a relative ministry who can actually answer as to why the UPDF brigade disappeared once they received the advance money to complete the project. Thank you.
Right on, even UPDF brigade can disappear. Now, who will arrest them?
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, as you are aware, last year, the money for YouGift was reverted late in the month of May. And so this House came up with a resolution that this time round money be reverted early enough. And I know this money is going to be reverted in the month of October, so that our districts have at least 9 months. So UPDF did not run away. The 189 million given to them was used to build that dam course, and so the foundation. And so when government gives them more money, they will go back and complete the site.
Thank you. Now, Museveni.
Thank you, Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I come from Buekra South, which is depending on one secondary school, government secondary school. And we have other sub-counties, a number of them without secondary schools. And this secondary school is located in the center. People in the west, they are in 37 kilometers. They cannot access this school. Other schools were mapped in different sub-counties, but there's no progress. Yet we offered free land to the ministry where to construct these schools. And through community mobilization, we started these schools. They're in existence. So we want to know how far are they ready to rescue the situation.
Thank you. Minister for Education.
Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, maybe I would like to request the member to tell me the specific school, or else I need that information.
No,
so
you
that
will share. You will share
we
with
could
him.
be able
The
to come
minister
to
is
office and
available.
we share it.
Yeah.
So that he can be able to report here where need be. I thank you.
Thank you. Procedure, Honorable Jarugaba.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, are we proceeding well, sincerely, especially with regard to this question about schools, a secondary school for every sub-county? Should I be convinced, should I be told that the Honorable Minister doesn't have a data regarding secondary schools and they spread out, especially to these, to the sub-counties in this whole country? Why should he be? I mean, even me, I had the same question. Even the other day, we were talking about the same issue. Possibly you, Mr. Right Honorable Speaker, you have the same problem. Doesn't the Minister of Education have a data about senior secondary schools and how they are spread out in our country?
Thank you. Now, Honorable colleague, the ministry has data, but it's not uploaded in the minister's head at once. He's a person, he's not a computer. That's why he has asked for time. Okay? Yeah, and then you also know that these ministers attend on different schedules. Okay? So, Honorable Gwang, if you ask him about any stadium in this country, he has it right away. But he's from the sector. So he conveys, he relays the message, and they give feedback. So when the minister is very honest enough, otherwise, I don't want us to box ministers into a corner of saying, Honorable Member, I know that school very well when they don't know. He's being honest.
Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to call upon our colleagues. we are there to serve you and to serve the country. While we appreciate you have a role of legislation here, it's important that come to our offices, because some of these questions we're asking about, in my considered opinion, if you came to the ministry, I'll be able to call the commissioner, call the PS, and follow up the matter directly.
Thank you.
So other than me coming here, like Honorable Jonathan Ebwal is here. He came to the ministry. I attended to his matter directly. So I want to encourage you. All of us ministers are there to serve this country. Get time, come to our respective offices, and we'll see how to address these specific problems. I thank you.
Honorable Katariwa.
Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, my concern goes to the Minister of Finance, and I think the PM, because in her communication, she said she met with the President, and the President emphasized that the 1 billion is an addition to the original budgets we have as districts under road fund. I chair the road committee of Chenjojo, and to be specific, our money for this financial year was cut from 537 million to around 167. And the Prime Minister has told us here that that money is still there. And when the Prime Minister says something here, the whole world has heard that we still have that money, yet all the roads we had budgeted for under road fund, we cancelled them. So I want clarification from the Prime Minister and the Minister. Is this 1 billion in addition to the original budgets we had, or the money has been cut? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
And if yes, when will the budgets be reinstated? I think that's what is very critical. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me answer the question, then I will add something as I finish. Mr. Speaker, it is true the 1 billion is over and above what the government has been providing to districts under the road fund. However, Mr. Speaker, two things. One, the road fund budget in financial year 2023-24 was reduced by 60 billion shillings. And the implications of this reduction is cascading to the existing budget. Number two, because of budget shortfalls, we were not able to release the 25% which we normally release on a quarterly basis. On average, each district was getting 10 million shillings, yes, which was far below the expectations of these districts. However, Mr. Speaker, in quarter two, tomorrow we are addressing a press conference. In quarter two, we have released the 1 billion for the quarter, which is 250, plus the portion which is already existing under the road fund. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I normally get feedback that I have trust of this House. When a member says that I think
no, that you're the one bringing it on a record of Parliament. We don't have it on a record of Parliament.
There is,
Honorable Sisi, you can only record what we, you can only respond to what we have on record of Parliament. But you see, honorable colleagues, you see why I asked the question of reinstatement. I remember when we were here, and the 1 billion came. Ourselves, we reduced money for road fund by around 60 billion, and we gave it to KCCA and other entities. So meaning, even when government says that this money should remain, it's not in the budget. We gave it away. Ourselves here, this was our proposal, not even a government proposal. We are the ones who cut. Government had left it the way it was. So, That's why I'm asking you about the question of reinstatement. Eh? If you have said that, are you using, for example, 3%, the supplementary for 3%, to reinstate the local governments onto their original positions? Honourable Minister. Because this will be, Honourable Minister, if you say that, it will be in fulfillment of what the Right Honourable Prime Minister has said, that the President directed that districts should maintain their budgets as they were before the 1 billion. But some of that money was removed and taken to other sectors. So the question is, are you utilizing your capacity under supplementary? Are you making a proposal of reinstating us to the original position?
Mr. Speaker, I was trying to avoid that route until when I come to report, because the law requires me to report some decisions and actions after 4 months.
Okay.
But everything is in the direction of which you are guiding.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Speaker.
Thank you. Now that's why we have trust in you, Honourable Minister. So those who are peddling rumors that we don't have trust in you should stop. Yes. No. Honourable Mpindi and your neighbor. Then I go to Honourable Karubanga, Honourable Pasco. No, such as has already spoken. Jonam, you've spoken today. You spoke. Yes, no, I want, colleagues, I can give you a chance, but I want first to give a chance to those ones who have not yet spoken. That's, then I'll do Chankwanzi. And I'm also going to reward those who have been coming this week. Some of you, I've seen you just today. So if you know you've just come today, the whole of this week, you only attended today, kindly be seated. Because I won't pick you, I know you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Chibare was even here yesterday, like promised.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, Article 10 of the Person with Disability Act and the Building Control Act of 2013 provides for accessibility to public buildings and all other infrastructures. But, Right Honourable Speaker, despite that provision of the law, the public is continuing to construct buildings without accessibility, and it is becoming difficult for persons with disability to access public buildings. I want to know from the Prime Minister whether they are willing to implement that provision of the law.
Thank you. Right Honourable.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, in my earlier submission, that question was asked, and I remember I answered it. We have the law in place. What matters is enforcement, Right Honourable Speaker. And like I said in my submission, we shall make sure that the enforcement officers are given all the support to enforce that law.
Let's follow it up in the budget, Honourable, when we are budgeting.
Right Honourable Speaker, mine is about the trailers or vehicles that are parked along the highways. On the 28th of September, a vehicle carrying our students of Kabramaido, Midland High School, got rammed into a station trailer along Mbale Soroti Highway. In that, very many students were really greatly injured. 2 died on the spot. 38 were very much injured. 2 to 4 had multiple injuries of fractures. Up to now, we have been suffering with high burdens of medical costs in the hospitals. So my prayer is that let the Ministry of Works or UNRWA take very serious action on such trailers, because members have talked consequently about them, but no action has been taken.
Thank you. Right Honorable?
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, in my earlier submission, while I was answering the question of a member who asked a question of Kinoni, Kinoni Villa Maria Road, I remember I told you, Right Honorable Speaker, that the Ministry of Works together with the Uganda Police have put in place a system that will help us to tow all those abandoned vehicles or parked vehicles on our main highways to avoid accidents. Right Honorable Speaker, like I said earlier, that we need to give them the relevant support in terms of a budget so that the police can do the enforcement.
Thank you. Now, Right Honorable Prime Minister, I remember at the burial of the late Mr. Aponye, who died out of such a scenario. In a speech read by, for His Excellency the President, read by the Vice President, he gave very clear guidelines. And these accidents have continued to claim people. So tell us, you will advise us on any kind of support you would need from Parliament. We give it to you, but we ensure this is handled. Honorable Karubanga?
Thank you, Right
Honorable colleagues, on this I'm not around shortcuts of procedure.
Thank you.
Just settle.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Around 2016, our government got a loan for the Accelerated Rural Electrification Program, and it was through a company, Tibea. In my constituency, some sub-counties have not got an electricity because they fall under the medium category of 11 kV. Those ones which fall under 33 kV have all got. So I have 3 sub-counties. It's a long time, and indeed, whenever I try asking, they say the contractor, yes, had both in the scope, and indeed he came on ground and he took site possession, but he's only going to construct 33. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm requesting the lead of...
Thank you. Now, Honorable colleagues, Right Honorable Prime Minister, don't disturb yourself on this. I announced to the House on Tuesday that Tuesday next week, the Minister for Energy is bringing a statement. Because I have every day received over 10 questions on this. We agreed she brings the statement and we discuss it and you express all your views on the issues of uncompleted schemes within your constituencies. So let's handle it on Tuesday and ensure you're here, Honorable. Now, colleagues, I've changed the tactic. I'll be rewarding people for attendance. Because we have members who are always here, then you have members who come just one day, within 10 minutes he stands up 20 times to speak. But you've not been here, okay? So how do you think the House was running for you to just come and you want to be picked on, you know? So, Pascal Mbabazi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it has been 2 years down the road when gold mining is taking place in my constituency, particularly in Chiruma sub-county. People have lost their land and property. My question is, what plans does the government have in regard the compensation for those who have lost their property? And which company is mining this gold? Because we are not aware of it. I thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I request that I get in touch with a member because you are aware that that area, Chiruma, and another area in Kasanda have issues, which issues have been on this floor I think since the 9th Parliament. And so I request that I get in touch with Honorable Mbabazi, together with the Ministry of Energy. He knows we have handled a number of issues with him. I promise that we shall handle.
Okay. Chankwanzi, Chibare, Hoima, Gomba, Ntungamo, Okeyo, and Ntungam again, and Kazini, and Honorable Kahonda, then Enoch, then Chiruhura. Ubuhenju, were you here yesterday? Yes, Ubuhenju was here. No, I'm coming. I know those who are here,
thank
but
you
she
very
remained
much.
seated. That's
Thank you
why I
very
was
much,
around
Right
her.
Honourable
She remained
Speaker.
seated.
Right Honourable Speaker, last month on 22nd, NFA sprayed all the people's plantation in Chitwala sub-county, that's Chankwan's district. There was maize, beans, and Irish potatoes. I wrote to ED for NFA and copied to the Prime Minister. That's the same place where they killed Bosco. It's the place near the forest. So we need government to intervene. My prayers are the Prime Minister to come up and see how we can solve up this issue of Chwala people who are near the forest. Thank you very much.
Right, Honourable.
Thank you very much.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I take a note of the members' issue. I promise that we can get in touch with the member, go to Chankwanzi, do the boundary opening of that forest, like I said in my area submission, and then we have that matter settled.
Thank you. Honourable colleagues, Chibare.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. My concern is on the electricity project, ERT3, codenamed Electricity for Rural Transformation, funded by World Bank. We are informed that the project period expired, and it is...
Electricity I wanted on Tuesday, Honourable.
Okay. Much obliged, Right
Yeah,
Honourable.
on Tuesday, and I'll give you a chance. Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right Honourable Prime Minister, all counties of Uganda, the former counties, have turned into districts except 19, which are in Ntungamo, Isingiro, Kasese, and elsewhere. At the moment, we have the funds because all districts were given 1 billion extra. And those districts have been grappling with difficulty to maintain their roads. So when are we getting extra road units so that we can be able to maintain roads in those bigger districts? Thank you so much.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the President guided that we give all the new districts without any district road equipment, and thereafter the district like Ntungamo, Kasese, Wakiso, those big districts will be considered next.
Thank you. Hoima, then Gomba.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. My request goes to the Minister of Education. I have a government-aided school in Hoima West called Parajuk Primary School, which was built in 1928. Sometime back in December, there was heavy winds, which almost blew off part of the roof. And the engineer went and assessed, and he condemned only that part of only one classroom. But when you look at the whole structure, almost all the classes, I think they are not fit for student study from there. They wrote a letter to the PS in January asking for the emergency funds, but up now, they have never got a response. Honourable Minister, I know you are very welcoming. I will come to your office and see how you can be able to give a response.
Thank you.
Right Honourable Speaker, first of all, we no longer have emergency funding in the Ministry of Education and Sports. Most of those issues normally come, and we also tend to write to the Right Honourable Prime Minister under the disaster preparedness. So I would like to request that my boss, the leader of government business, specifically takes up with that specific problem which the colleague is having. I thank you.
Yeah. So, honourable colleagues, some of the colleagues have informed me we are not in the House because we are in the committees and all that. Now, I had forgotten to tell you about this. Committee chairpersons and crack, there shouldn't be any committee meeting between Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday after 2 p.m. There shouldn't be any committee retreat that starts earlier than Thursday evening and goes beyond Monday. Reason being, if you are in a committee retreat doing work and you, for example, you're working on a bill and you want it to be brought to the House and supported, if you are not here to support other committees' business, who will support yours? If you're not here, you just want to come when you have your business. So please, I have, and crack, please, this is going to be, let us write all committee chairpersons, because, plenary is plenary.